Hello everyone. We will now proceed with another chapter of Tour Guiding Services NC2, which is accompanying and guiding visitors according to tour schedule. I mentioned before that tour schedule is also known as tour itinerary. Okay, so under this chapter, we have 4 lessons, which includes the do's and don'ts of tour guiding, the 10 commandments of tour guiding, information and commentaries, and complaints and other emergencies. All right. So you have to remember that the tour guides have certain general procedures to follow at any stage of the tour, whether it is in the beginning, during the tour, and even after the tour. So we have the following do's and don'ts of tour guiding. The tour guiding profession builds character and challenges one's skills. In order to succeed in this career, certain personality traits must be remain solid. They face challenges every day, and even their sense of ethics may sometimes be put to test. But it is very important to have an unwavering principles when engaging in this type of career. So we have the following do's and don'ts that should serve as the guidelines for both aspiring and experienced tour guides. So of course, this will also serve as your guidelines as we go along the tour guiding services lessons. The first one is be truthful. I know that you are familiar with the saying that goes like this: honesty is the best policy, which is actually true. Honesty in all your dealings with your tourists or clients and even co-workers is a must in this profession. It's very important that you possess honesty. Trustworthy tour guides give exact details, know when to make comments, and know how to deliver them with correct choice of words and proper body language. They show genuine concern for tourists. This Their sincerity also in service is seen and felt. But most importantly, tour guides does not cheat the tourist. Tour guides doesn't cheat the suppliers, and of course, they do not cheat their tour operator. Remember, tour operator is your boss. Integrity is one of the most important qualities that a tour guide should possess, and it starts by being truthful. The second one, be reliable and punctual. Never be late. Never be late. Okay? So the most exasperating tour guides are those that are irresponsible. Tour guides have a lot of responsibilities, and that includes being on time. That's very important. You have to be on time at all times. Tour guides should set an example to all your tourists. You should report on time and even ahead of time. All the tasks entrusted to the tour guide should be fulfilled, from giving out important informations and reminders to the tourist, and always doing head count and completing all the necessary documents that is needed in the tour. That should be submitted, of course, to the tour operator after the tour. Tour operators are less worried about the tour knowing that they have a very reliable tour guide. So that is one of the most important thing to do. If you will work as a tour guide, you should be reliable, you should be punctual, and always remember not to be late, but to arrive in that place ahead of time. Okay? The third one, be precise with details. In every tour, before it will start, there will always be an endorsement that will include the briefing and giving of documents. So, as tour guide, you have to take this opportunity to be accurate with all the details that you are going to uh, tell your tourists or your clients. Make sure to check all the important information, as this will help in the smooth flow of the tour. So when communicating ideas and thoughts, you have also to make sure that correct details are given. Okay? Never ever guess and utter statements such as I think, or maybe, or using the word perhaps. You have to take note that tourists also know if the tour guides are unsure of what they are telling to them, or they can also read the body movements. Okay, so it is very important to be precise and sure of the facts. As much as possible, you have to give the exact date or exact information, such as the date, the distance, name, and many more. It would be better also to say, if you do not know something, I mean, you do not know the things that they are asking, then you can just say, let me find that out for you. Or you can also say, let me go back to you on that. Of course, you are not you are not certain of your answer, then you do your research before giving the information to your tourist. The fourth one, be natural when doing commentaries. Do not just try to memorize your commentaries, but make it as a fluid as much as possible. You have also to do your own research in order for you to discuss the most interesting topics to your tourists. Tourists will know if you just memorize your spiel. With that, they will have the tendency to be disengaged. They will not listen to what you are talking about. Know also a perfect timing for your commentaries. And of course, an appropriate tone of voice must be used. Okay? You have to choose the right words in doing your commentaries. The fifth one, be friendly, but do not be too familiar. It is important for the tour guide to be friendly and accommodating, but you should also know your boundaries. Try to avoid asking very personal questions and unnecessary physical contact with your tourists, such as touching their head or even wrapping arms around the guest. That's a big no-no for tour guides. You should always be professional in your words and, of course, in your actions. All right? Number 6, be kind but firm. Kindness is felt with actions and words. Always remember that what we are offering in our industry is service. Service is an essential component of a tour, and it must be delivered graciously. Tour guides can give great service, and this is seen by showing genuine concern for our tourists. At times, we can be very giving, but there will always be times when we have to be firm and we have to show authority. Just like, for example, if we're going to resolve certain issues or problems, then as tour guides, it is very important that we need to show our authority as well. Seventh, be fair. Always remember that tour guiding is a service-oriented career. So, as tour guides, you should be reasonable in all dealings and always keep the interest of the majority. Although tour guides want to please all tourists, it is inevitable that they cannot please everyone. You can never please everyone, but as I said, you have to be reasonable in everything that you do and every decision that you're going to make, and always keep the interest of the majority. All right, so another, be creative. Creativity is one of the things that you should possess as a tour guide. You have to remember that your tourist wants to be entertained and learn as well. So you should know different ways or various ways of entertaining your tourists or your clients. This could be done by maybe sharing short stories, maybe sharing legends and other human interest stories. Tour guides should know where exactly to bring the tourists based on their preferences. So, it is also important to be resourceful, especially in times of delays or accidents or maybe troubles. So, you should be resourceful as tour guides. Take note, resourcefulness is a part of being creative as tour guide. Moving on, be grateful. Gratitude must be shown to tourists, especially that they have been very good, they have been patient, and very cooperative during the entire tour. So tour guides are expected to deliver a kind of service that will make their tour or their travel worthwhile. So if tourists like your service, then they can actually give you tips. However, always remember, never oblige the tourist to give you a tip. It's up to them if they were able to, I mean, they like your service, then they can just give you tips. Number 10, be organized. As mentioned in our previous lesson, organization is a skill that has something to do not only with the documentation, but also with how you organize your time and financial management. A tour has been designed and set with particular timing and costing, so it is important that you should follow the itinerary and be conscious of the allotted time. You have to be careful also with other expenses to avoid unnecessary stress. And of course, additional expense to the company. So as tour guide, you should always be organized. Make sure to follow the timing. Make sure to follow the tour itinerary. Another, be positive and patient. Positivity is relevant in all aspects of tour guiding service, most especially when managing complaints or any problems. Again, you should listen with empathy. Negative people are undergoing some kind of pain and discomfort at that moment, so sometimes or most of the time, they can see mostly the negative. So it's important that you should listen before you offer any suggestion to your tourists. Instead of antagonizing them, tour guides must change their perspective to try to understand what they are going through. Okay, so it is very important that you will be, I mean, you act as I mean, you deliver comfort and be patient to your tourists. Number 12, be considerate and sensitive. There are rules and regulations in most destinations, especially the ones that are declared to be heritage and protected. So, as tour guides, make sure that you explain this very well to tourists and encourage responsible tourism. You have to lead by example, especially in following the rules of that destination. Certain behaviors are expected in some sites as well. For instance, the tarsiers in Bohol, they are kind of sensitive to camera flash and noise. So, it is very important that you should remind your tourists not to create too loud noise or for them to avoid shouting. Also, another example, in Zubik or in Zubik Safari in Subic, there are monkeys roaming around the roads of Subic. So you have also to remind your tourists not to give any food to them because the more you give them food, the more they become aggressive. Okay? So if the tourists cannot give them food anymore, then they become aggressive. So it's very important that you will reiterate all this important information so that the tourist will understand and follow. Another, be tactful, never be rude. Tact and diplomacy go together. Always remember that. As tour guides, you should be sensitive to the feelings of other people, especially your tourists, and you should try to understand and accept their opinions, their ideas, and even their feelings. Never ever shout at them nor point at them. Be very careful with the gestures, with your body gestures, and make sure that your words and actions are not rude. Another, build rapport with tourists. You have to take note that tourists are our clients. So it is very important that we should make connection with them. So, as tour guides, we should keep them interested in listening. But how are we going to do that one? We should make our commentaries lively and interesting and not boring. On the same note, Tourists also feel if the tour guide is sincere in helping them. Remember, great customer service builds relationships. This may also mean a repeat customer in the future or referrals for the tour guide. And the last one, maintain good relationships with suppliers. This is very important. Suppliers are big components of the tour and they complement each other. Again, what are the suppliers? This includes the transportation, the accommodations, restaurants, and even the attractions. So these suppliers make up a great travel experience. Remember, dissatisfaction in one or the other may lead to an unpleasant experience. It is best to deal and work with them together harmoniously. And creating lasting good relationship with suppliers is very important for they are our partners in business. So again, maintain good relationship with suppliers. Okay, so again, these are the do's and don'ts of tour guiding service that you should take note as tour guides. We will now proceed with the 10 commandments of tour guiding. So these 10 commandments of tour guiding will serve as the ultimate guidelines and rules that you as tour guide should live by. So these rules form a professional, ethical, moral, and holistic being of a professional tour guide. So let's start. Number one, remember that guest safety and needs shall be your priority. It was discussed in our previous lessons that your guest safety is the topmost priority over anything else. Another important thing to note is to be sensitive to the needs of your guest. As tour guide, you should always remember what is best for the tourist and not what is more convenient and advantageous for themselves. Alright? So, for example, if there is a typhoon or heavy rain and one of the activity that is in the itinerary is a swimming activity, then it is better not to push through on that activity because of course, as I said, your guest safety is your priority. Right? Instead of asking them to maybe wait for the rain, it would be better also to try to gather the group in a shaded area and try to look for alternative activities for them while waiting for the rain to stop. That is just one of the example. The second commandment, you shall follow the itinerary. Remember, the itinerary is designed to guide you in executing a timely organized tour. And this itinerary is what the tourist or the clients paid for. So as much as possible, you should follow the estimated time of departure and estimated time of arrival as reflected in the tour schedule. If the itinerary indicates that the tourists spend only 1 hour in the museum, then it must be followed. More often than that, the guests are also given a copy of the itinerary ahead of time. That is why they should also know what time you should live in that attraction. Some tourists also have researched the sites in advance and they will be expecting to visit the rest of the sites indicated in the destination. Some tourists will question or will ask the accuracy of the tour, most especially if they observe that the itinerary is not being followed. So, if you omit one or you remove two, they will most likely to ask, "Oh, I thought we're going to do this one," or "I thought we're going to pass through this attraction," because it was already stipulated in the tour schedule or your tour itinerary. You see? So if this happens, there is a perception that the tour guide and the company are unreliable. In some instances, the tourist may also ask for an alternate activity or another site to see. At times, some optional tours are indicated in the itinerary. So, if the tour company promotes an optional tour, then this can be arranged especially if time permits. However, if it is not indicated in the itinerary, it is best to, of course, consult or call the tour operator first before making a decision. Remember, again, that the itinerary has been pre-planned and it comes with complete costing and arrangements with the other suppliers. So anything done that has not been planned, that has not been included in the itinerary may incur additional cost and may need extra manpower and other arrangements. But of course, there will be times that the tours will require adjustments in the tour schedule due to unexpected situations and maybe unsafe circumstances. If this happens, it is best to inform the tour operator and tactfully explain to the guest the reason for the changes. The third commandment, you shall be knowledgeable. Knowledge is a tour guide's weapon. Again, knowledge is a tour guide's weapon. This is the very reason why the tour guides are hired, because of their knowledge, because of the things that they know. They're expected to share facts, information, and stories. As tour guides also, you are expected to give directions, correct directions, and of course, take care of your tourists. Tourists know if the tour guide is unsure of his or her statements and answers. Great commentaries are those that are well prepared and researched. That's the reason why I always tell you to always do your advanced research. If you're going to visit a certain destination, make sure to do also an ocular inspection before you will take your tourist in there. If the tour guide is well armed with accurate information, he or she becomes more confident in delivering his or her commentaries. Of course, because you know many things about the destination. So you are confident enough to answer whatever questions that your tourist will throw to you. Also, knowledge is power, and the application of knowledge is best needed in actual situations. Just for example, tour guides must know exactly what to do when there is, for example, a left behind luggage in the bus or in the plane, or what to do and who to contact if there is an emergency or something happened to the tourist. Okay, so again, you should be knowledgeable. Number four, know that the tour operator is your employer. While of course the passengers are your guests and should be treated with utmost respect, it is most important also to remember that the tour guides have been hired, you were hired by the tour operator, thus the tour operator is considered as your employer. So, as tour guides, you should not solicit or you should not request or even beg for any kind of business with the current company's tourist or the guest. Do not give out your personal information or give out your personal number and advise them to contact you for future bookings. Remember, submit to the tour company or the travel agency who hired you. So, if they have questions with regards to other or future bookings, then you should inform them to contact the tour operator or the tour manager for their future bookings and referrals. You may also advise them to request for you during their booking. But, as I said, never ever give your contact number or your personal information for future business. Number five, you shall present yourself neatly and professionally. So, of course, as tour guide, you should dress up professionally and appropriately. Never ever use clothings like spaghetti straps, plunging necklines, shirts with any vulgar or discriminating statements, even mini skirts or short pants, or Even the slippers, this is a big no-no for you to wear if you are going to uh, work as a tour guide, because of course you will be facing, or you will have face-to-face meetings with your clients and tourists. So it is preferable to wear smart casual. This is like polo shirts with collar. They may, of course, differ, however, depending on the tour, since different types of tours require different dress codes. For example, an adventure tour. Of course, as tour guide, you should dress up differently from a museum tour guide, right? You should not be in your corporate attire, but of course, you should be in your proper attire because you will go for an adventure tour. It may also differ depending on the concept of the tour and the requirement of the company. All right? The sixth one, you shall respect and protect your country, its culture, nature, and history. Patriotism must be in the heart of every tour guide. Tour guides must be truthful when describing their country, but never put the nation or your country and its people in a bad light. As much as possible, avoid talking about politics, especially also about religion, about homosexuality, prostitution, or other sensitive matters that may trigger argument or impose negative impression to the tourist or your clients. So, remember the following. You shall not allow insult coming from you nor the guests about the ethnicity, the rituals, the traditions, and even the beliefs of a certain region of a group. Instead, you make sure that your guests understand and appreciate the culture and its relevance. Furthermore, the history of the country should be stated in a factual and non-biased way. Even the national symbols, the items, the infrastructures, and the monuments that have historically shaped the nation shall be treated with pride and respect. Also, there are rules and regulations in most destinations, especially the ones that are declared to be heritage and protected attractions. So make sure that you will explain to the tourists and encourage responsible tourism. Okay? Another, you should also act as a you should be an epitome or a model in protecting the biodiversity, especially the flora and fauna and the environment of that destination. Always remember to constantly remind your tourists to be environmentally friendly. Okay? In order to preserve nature, there are certain rules that should be observed also, such as, of course, the general things that uh, there should be no picking of flowers, no uprooting of the plants, and no taking of anything that belongs to that certain destination. All right? Another, patronize and promote your country's products. You are the ambassador of your country. Always remember that. So, if guests or the tourists see that you take pride in local products, even your delicacies, the artifacts and other local products, then of course the guests will definitely buy those products. You are not just only helping the country's promotion, but you're also helping the locals and the economy. So again, always remember this number six commandment. You shall respect and protect your country, the culture, the nature, and the history. Number seven, you shall not in any way solicit, insinuate, or accept personal or intimate relationship with your guest. Remember that one. As a tour guide or as a professional tour guide, you are expected to dress up decently, act decently, and speak professionally. If professionalism is manifested, respect is gained. Take note of that. Again, if professionalism is manifested, respect is gained. You should never suggest or imply that you can be taken out on a date. Also, you should avoid saying that you are single and that you are looking for a romantic relationship. Take note. Again, this is one of the commandments of the tour guiding that you should always remember. Never ever accept or insinuate or accept personal or intimate relationship with your guest. Okay? Number 8, you shall never be under the influence of alcohol or any illegal drugs while on tour. This is an international rule that applies not only in the tour guiding service but also in any other job. Violating this rule is not only the most unprofessional but also the most dangerous misconduct of a tour guide. Because of course, if a person is under the influence of drugs or alcohol, he or she cannot think well or does not function properly. So, he or she can be harmful and make even cause damage to himself, not only to himself or herself, but to other people, especially, of course, the tourist or your clients. You are putting the life of your clients or the tourist in danger if you are in the influence of alcohol or illegal drugs. Number 9, you shall not get tired of giving reminders. This is an important commandment that every tour guide should always remember and observe because this will not only bring an enjoyable and smooth tour, but it will also secure the safety among all guests. Reminders should not only be mentioned once, but at least twice. For the safety reminders, it should be repeated as much as possible. There are times that you will have a guest who are very disobedient and inattentive, but do not be tired of giving or repeating the reminders. Alright? And the last commandment, you shall think rationally and act appropriately under pressure. Tour guiding is a tough job. Tour guides handle people, they handle situations, and handle the tourists. And being able to project a calm and rational way of dealing with circumstances takes professionalism. While carefully listening and dealing with the problem, tour guides should already be formulating or trying to think of a plan or trying to think of a solution for that problem. So, it is not easy to work as a tour guide, especially in times of pressure. You should always think and act appropriately.